garden stretches out before you. The parts of it run off into the infinite tendrils of existence toward their very, very tips and ends, into the darkness. And all around you in this garden, for every flower there is a star. And for every star there is a light of a consciousness that someone would call their self, that they would call who they are. Because what this garden is, it is the eternal garden of the universe. And it is the way that each burning star in the universe exists in a place in our imaginations. Now this is somewhat theoretical, but if in a sense it didn't exist there already, it would be impossible to experience it if you encountered it. If you truly couldn't conceive of something, when you came upon it, you would have no way of experiencing it. And so, from within this garden, you begin to walk. And all around you are the perfumes of the endless flowers, of the rose and the lily, the lilac. You're immersed in a world of senses and smells, and it excites every fabric of your spirit into a perfect harmony, where no part of the garden overpowers any other part. Each part is commingled in this beautiful whole that expresses itself as a single, beloved, divine energy. And then, as you go deeper and deeper into the garden, knowing that every flower is a star, and every flower is a person, and every person is love, and that you are love exploring this garden, you know that what joins all things in the garden is love. So you know that not only are you love, not only is everyone else love, not only is the perfume of the flowers love, but it's all love. And knowing this, you go deeper and deeper into the garden. And in every way you can, you explore the way that the roots of that garden plunge into an infinite darkness. They go into infinity, as if searching for something. And so as you follow the roots, that search becomes your search. That search where existence came out of nothing, essentially, where it overcame every conceivable barrier to the existence of something by having qualities, by having an expression, by having things in it, by creating energy where there was not energy, by making the endless, which we see reflected in the skies above us, where we only know the infinite, where we only know the infinite by our math and our astronomical understandings that tell us that the only reason we see a limit to the universe is because there's a limit to how much light can reach us over time. And that limit is the limit at which the universe sits. There isn't the capacity for it to show us more of itself if it exists, so there's no reason to think that it doesn't. You could say there's no reason to think that it does either. But all of this came out of nothing, came out of a minute point, scientifically speaking, that produced the Big Bang and everything we see. That sounds like infinity. It sounds an awful lot like it. It sounds a lot like a flower being born from a seed and spreading outward. And that you are an expression of that flower. You are a flower in the garden. And as you walk in that divine space, all of divinity encounters you. It meets you. It drinks in your essence. And it drinks it in love. Because you're a part of the diverse harmony of that space, where every color and every perfume is only as brilliant as it is because it exists among all the others. But that garden is plunging deeper and deeper into the darkness. In every direction it goes on into infinity. And so as you go through the garden, you feel something calling to you. It is like a light. It is a voice. It is a heart. It is a single flower of that divine nature of reality. It is infinity calling to the endless to see where it meets it in the darkness. And so as you go towards it, as you go deeper and deeper into that space, you need to begin to explore all of the parts of infinity. Because you've only known the garden to this point as a single unified energy, an expression of existence itself that is in everything and which binds all things together. But that existence exists in a solution called the mystery. And so you are subject to the mystery, even as you are the mystery expressing itself. To express existence is not to know all of existence. It is to know the part of existence that you know at that time. And so by existing, you're expressing the part of existence that needs to be expressed. That everything has to express, which is connection, which is the capacity for joy, the capacity for harmony. It is an expression of love that can be understood as love, felt as love. It is a sense of reality, a sense of self, whether or not these things are named or known as such. And as you go deeper and deeper into the garden, you're called by that light, called by that voice, and called through the mystery, called through darkness, through the unknown. Because up to this point, everything in the garden has been a thought away. It's been a wish away. Because the garden is the garden of the imagination. It's the garden of dream. It's where there is no separation, there is no distance between things, except that which is separate, except that which creates distance. And in creating distance is the endless, calling to the infinite, you as the infinite. These two things are drawn into each other. It's like a magnet. It's like the positive and negative poles of the magnet, where these things are drawn into each other by their opposite natures, where the endless is time expressed as an infinite expression, and the infinite itself is experience expressed as an infinite potential. So you join these things and it takes you deeper into the garden, deeper into the darkness. You see a light calling to you in the distance. And that light is a flower. That light has a quality that you've always known. And as it calls to you, you go deeper and deeper. And suddenly, you become very focused. You become very focused on what is right in front of you. You become so focused on it that all you're seeing is the mud that you're suddenly stuck in. You're seeing the vines and the thorns and the way that they tangle you up. You're feeling the heavy moisture of the air, the heat, the imposing heat. You feel the cold as the mud sinks into your bones when you're stuck in it, wading through the mud in the darkness. And this becomes your focus so completely that you think that it's all that there is. And you begin to think that this body that you're in that needs to explore that space is who you are and is what you are, and is not just required to explore that space that way, but is required to be at all, is required to exist at all. And that's where the idea of death comes from. That's where the idea that you can permanently die comes from, even though if you could truly die, you wouldn't be here. I'll let you think about that. But you overcame a lot to be here in that sense. You overcame all of the boundaries and constrictions of non-existence in order to have an existence all of a sudden. How did your body pick you out of the infinite possibility of consciousness to have your experience? That's the question. And so while you're in that space and your focus is narrowed down, you begin to think that the garden doesn't exist at all, that there's just that one experience. There is no infinite garden, there's no eternal garden, there is no heaven. You get so deep in the grime, hacking through the vines, trying to find your way through this jungle, that you even forget that it was a star, it was a flower, it was a being that called to you from across the gardens that have existed for all of time. You came searching for a certain flower, something so exotic, something so rare and beautiful and special that it was beyond your imagining where you began, in this garden that spread out like a mandala into infinity, a mandala of repeating patterns and variation and all of these harmonies that you dove into, searching for something so deep and so profound that you were willing to leave the understanding that the garden was one and go into the illusion of separateness. And so as you're passing through this state, this mud, this muck of physicality, all of a sudden, out of that darkness, out of that chaos, emerges a single flower. Something so beautiful and so divine that it gives sense and it gives reason to the madness, to everything you've experienced, to everything you've lost, to everything you've been all this time. Searching, dreaming, looking for a way out, for everything that the whole path has represented to you. This is what ties your spirit back to itself, because it's where you remember. You remember who you are in love. That's what rejoins the pieces. And so what happens is that a positive connection is created. And you experience that as a flowing feeling of love pouring out of you, coming out of you toward this being, this counterpart. But what you're not realizing is that you came searching the flower that you came looking for, the flower that you've been dreaming of all this time. It was the other and it was you, because they are the same thing. There's only one light. There's only one existence itself. There is only a single miracle of beingness, of the universe. There is only the Big Bang. There is only an infinity of stars. There is only an infinity of the imagination stretching off into all parts of reality. So you came looking for yourself, and you found yourself, and somebody else was holding you in their heart, and they had made the same journey to that same place. You were like two lighthouses in an infinite ocean, where the whole ocean, you are moving the ocean of infinity around you to join yourselves to each other, calling to that light. The lights calling to each other and telling each other how to move the oceans of infinity so that they join. And these lighthouses finally come together and are quantum entangled, you could say. They're joined. Their essences are the same, because what happens is that these two lighthouses discover the light that they're projecting, that they called self, individuality, freedom, expression, is the same one light. And the mystery, the illusion, is the illusion of separation. And that's the puzzle, is how to bring these lights together so that they understand themselves to be the same one light. And that's why they move the oceans of infinity and eternity around them, pulling at the borders of possibility in every way, which is what existence does. It overcomes impossibility to be in the first place. And then it overcomes every other conceivable impossibility to create the most divine, most heavenly expression of the nature of God for eternity through infinity. And it has to do that through each of us. That's the Spirit calling us forward. That's what takes us into the darkness. That's what that flower is. That's what that light is. That's why it is the endless calling to the infinite. And as you're called across that ocean, that infinite, endless ocean, you can experience it in every way. You can experience yourself as a lone traveler on the waters in a boat you've built yourself. You can experience yourself as a star in the endless universe, in an ocean of stars that is endless, truly endless. And you can experience yourself as being called by a counterpart, a spirit who is just like you. And what you find is that when you find that counterpart, what happens is that that counterpart reveals to you. The counterpart lowers the veil of the self and reveals the horizon of your beingness. Your counterpart reveals the endlessness of your own soul, your own infinity, as a horizon that touches on them. And they hold that horizon for you, so it calls to you. It calls to you across the infinite, eternal, endless oceans of reality. It's a veil that, when lifted, tells you that you left some part of yourself in the essence, within the heart that they carry in their chest. And that's the entanglement. That's the connection. That's the light that joins the two lighthouses. That's the love that joins you to them. So that if you feel correctly, if you know them truly and deeply, your hearts are an expression of the same energy. They're bound in love. But what that does is it takes you deeper into the mystery. Because where you are going, where you've been heading this whole time, is not toward them. It's not toward the belief that they are the one, they have this thing you're looking for, they have a missing piece of you. It just looks like that. And that's where people's focus comes from. That's why people can be so driven by love. It can take them to so many places, so deep into the self, so deep into the unknown. It calls to them through the layers of everything in reality to overcome abstraction and illusion and the imagination, to pour every piece of themselves into this expression of giving birth to some divine reality where they come together in a harmony. But that drive is the drive to realize that the thing that you are searching for is with you all the time and cannot become separate from you because it is you. It's who you are. And the one you love reflects that and helps you discover it. And then when you discover it, because it's the part of you that seemed to be in them, that was, in a functional sense, in them, and which the gardens of eternity had to orchestrate the coming together of those parts within you and within them. They guide you to the understanding of yourself that is within them. And when you find that, that's what causes the pieces to click together. They snap together and it pulls them to you. Because you become so completely irresistible to them, because now you're carrying the part of them, the part of you that was them. And they recognize their own image in your heart, their own likeness. And they feel it in everything that you are. They feel it in everything you say and do, because all of it becomes a monument to your love for them. Because what they want from you is for you to be truly the one that you are. And so if you're going through the garden and you're not looking for the flower that most represents your spirit and your truth and your love as a being, and you're not looking for them, then you're looking for something else. You're looking for companionship. You're trying to find your way back into the garden that you came from, that you know yourself to be. That's the garden of eternity, where here on earth we can feel like we're striving and straining for this thing. These pleasurable, basic satisfactions of life, of having a home, of having a car, of having nice things, of having a pretty girlfriend or a handsome boyfriend. All of these things that seem to be what to strive for and what to reach for. None of this is even a drop. It's not even a fragment of a reflection. It's the barest fragment of a reflection of the miracle that the existence of the garden of eternity is, of the garden of the infinite. You're just searching for any drop of that divine that reminds you of it, to save you from the chaos of this dark space that you came into, looking for where it reached its limits. And that's why we experience this as a limit. That's why you see it as a limit. The darkness that's here on this planet is because it is the limit of your ability to explore. It is where you encounter all pain, all agony, all sense of disconnection. But all of that is there to create the illusion that you are disconnected, so that when you find the one that you're looking for, She awakens in you your own divine essence, your own true spirit. She shows you the way. She is the gate that leads you into the next dimension of understanding and of self. And that's why love is so revelatory. That is why love is so profound and so compelling. Is because it is an awakening. When it is true, it wakes you up to other levels of self, to other levels of consciousness and dimensionality, because it is the understanding that all of this that seems so separate is not. It's all contained within all parts of itself. Even from the very beginning, you were all of this. And that is the mystery. That's what the mystery is. You haven't crossed any space at all. You've never gone anywhere. You've never left. You've always been here. And you've never gone anywhere in time because it's always been now. And that has never changed because it's all the garden. And the garden is in a single location. It's kept within you. You are always with you. Your heart is always with you. Your imagination is always with you. And that produces the endlessness that you explore and experience in harmony with the expression that is the universe itself, expressing itself as all of this, exploring itself as all of this. And that is the revelation. But that's what's so funny about it, is that you've always known that. Somewhere in you, you've always known that and will always know that. But it's also the revelation, because when you go into the darkness, when you go into the sense of disconnection, then that idea is the thing that begins to seem impossible to you. The thing that seems totally impossible to you is that everything is a miracle. But that's what this all is. It's all an expression of miracle. There is only miracle, so that's what means that it's not miracle anymore. It's just existence. And you can see it as a miracle because that's very profound. And we're called to explore every part, every fold in the fabric of this endlessness. We are called into all of it. Now that is the miracle. If you want to call something a miracle, that is the miracle. And that is a miracle because we will go into the darkness when we don't have to. There's plenty of love outside of this space, but we're that compelled by mystery. We want that much and that badly to be one with the thing that we truly love, with the one that we truly love. And so that is the nature of the divine. That's the nature of reality, is that all pain is an illusion that dissolves in connection, in harmony, in love when you arrive upon it, because what it does is it rewrites the whole history of pain, and you can look back over the most horrible things imaginable. And when you're finally standing there in front of the flower that you came searching for in that garden, in front of the light that called to you, that felt so familiar, it felt like self, it felt like home, and it was other at the same time, which is a fact that is the perfume of your soul expressing itself. It is the divinity you've always hoped for and always wanted for somewhere in you, in the search for endlessness, in the desire for freedom to express liberty, express truth. That one was calling to you. And when your voices and your hearts align and meet, there is such a focus between you and that person that they are the whole world to you. They are everything you have ever wanted. They are the fulfillment of every dream and infinity and eternity. It's as if all of reality could be filled with just her face. And you would see nothing lacking relative to the mirror that reflects all of eternity, all of reality, and all of heaven to you, because she is absolute bliss. She is your bliss, and it is in that otherness, it's in the fact that something that is so fundamental to you could be being expressed by somebody else. It's as if a part of your own mind that you know to be your mind somehow magically apparates as this other being who is in love with you. And you're in love with her. And that's what calls you through the garden, is to know that level of love. To know that beauty where all of the ways that infinity has breached the veil of impossibility and crossed into reality through every dimensional restriction that could conceivably be imposed on it, that could stop it from expressing itself in all the ways that it can. You are with that moment, with the breaching of that impossibility, with breaking through the waves of all things and into the reality of the mind that is endless, that is unlimited, that is infinite. Because it is love. It is imagination that will carry itself to all places in search of everything that belongs to it, in search of all the love it knows itself to be. And so that's why that is you, because everything you'll find there might be the one you were looking for. But that search itself, the way you search, the way you go through that domain of reality, push through the limits of the impossibility in front of you by existing. When, if you think about it, how did you come into this body in the first place? How did you even get here? Why are you you and I'm me? You overcame everything to be here. All impossibility. And at the edge, the end of that overcoming of all that impossibility, you see yourself expanding into everything. Brilliantly, miraculously. Like a seraphim. Your wings spreading out to touch the ends of eternity. And everything that your wings cover is heaven. All of it is. Even the darkness, which becomes so small as to be completely insignificant. It's a single thought in this vast ocean of your divinity. And when you've spread yourself out to that point, you find somebody else who has as well, who's touching the same things, who knows the divine the same way that you do, who holds in her heart or his heart that same world. And it is crossing that impossibility to reach her. And she's doing the same to reach you. And so here you are. And here she is. But if she's not in front of you and you don't see her, it's because the whole universe is rearranging itself to create that moment of connection. Because it's a moment that happens in a space and time that's specifically organized, it's specifically arranged. You can't miss it unless you don't express your full true self, because self is the vehicle that takes you to where all the parts of you are. And it takes you into every place that you belong. And in every place that you belong, you will find love. You will find the heart that says, you are what I've been searching for. And what that heart will find in you is itself. It will find that they were always contained within you, and you didn't know. And you were always contained within them, and they didn't know. They will find that moment where from the gardens of eternity, you felt something calling to you deep, deep within, deep in the darkness. They will find that thing that was calling to them, and so will you. And the thing that was calling to you was you, and the thing that was calling to them was them. But the form that they find it in when they arrive on it is they find you standing there. You're the one that wakes them up. You are the revelation of their love. That's how it works. And that's why you're so intrinsically bound and so intrinsically connected that it feels as if there is no separation, there is no distance, because you found the light that you knew to be you. And it was in everything that they were, because they carry the same source of existence expressing itself as light, as the nature of all of the energy that there is. And so in that moment when you come together, you crown yourselves in a diadem of each other's stars, sparkling with all of the jewels of the entire path of that eternity that you crossed, the whole road that you walked to reach each other. And you both become the jewels of each other's minds. All the stars that you have always known, when you looked up, become everything that you see in front of you, in her. And she takes all of it, and from her heart, she weaves a tapestry that she places before you. And in every way, in every thread, you find yourself in all of it. And when she looks at you, she sees the hand that was moving the needles, that was moving the needle as she made those patterns. She sees the reason that she was so drawn to be, and drawn to wait, and drawn to look. She sees that you were the feeling that guided her. It was you calling to her. It was her knowing you and loving you and feeling you in every fabric of her being, in every vibration of every atom in her body, in her heart, in her soul. You were the thing that held all of that eternity, the whole garden of eternity, and all of its light, and all of its love, and all of its radiance, and all of its beauty. You were the single idea, aside from that thing itself, that held the energy of all of that, all of its radiance and splendidness. and she saw you reflected in everything. And so the moment that you find her, she knows that you're the one.